In this video, I'm going to show you some ways to solve common JSON errors within your automations, such as bad request body, validated input JSON, unprocessable entity, failed to parse request body as JSON, and many others. For example, you can see it in this request where I'm trying to make a test HTTP request using JSON that looks okay at first glance, and also using this Apify actor where I've pasted in this username and I'm getting this validated input JSON error as well. I'll also be explaining a really easy to escape your JSON. So if you're passing in data like this directly in a dynamic field within a JSON request, then I'll show you how to escape that as well so that you will not come up with these kinds of errors when you're making your requests. First off, let's look at this Apify actor. This looks okay at first glance. I'll press save and press run once. The problem is I'm getting this validated input JSON error, and you'll get this and similar types of errors when you have things like incorrect JSON or hidden characters within your JSON. So if I'm going to copy and paste all of this out, you'll see in this case, it's very easy to spot a hidden character at the very end. But if you pass this into something like JSON Lint, or there's a bunch of different JSON validators online, you can copy and paste those in and you see there's some hidden characters there. If I click validate JSON, it's actually pointing out in red the hidden characters that we can remove. I'll remove that. I'll copy and paste this back in, press OK. I know that should work. Now you see that has worked. So that kind of approach is very handy. In general, it's a very good idea to put your data through a JSON validator. In cases like using Apify actors, you might be hard coding in the data like this, or in many cases, you will be populating the actual usernames or the data from an external source such as Google Sheets or Airtable. And so you cannot really copy and paste that input JSON into this validator. What you can do is when you try to execute it, click the bubble icon to look at the previous execution, and then copy and paste out that input JSON into this, and then it should be okay. I'll show you that more when we get down to this here. So the exact same thing applies here. I'll press run this module only. I have this unexpected whitespace character error at the very end here. When I remove that and press OK, and press run once, then the operation succeeds. It's often not as easy as that. Sometimes we have data that we need to inject in from a Google Sheet or an Airtable or many other things into a request using either the HTTP module or using another module such as Apify or many others. If I press OK, press save, in this case, it's going to move this down so that in this scenario, it's going to start off with Google Sheets. And I'm going to be picking up these blog post titles, and I'm going to be just sending it to this test API endpoint that I've created. I know it's going to work in this case, but it's going to fail on the second run. So I'm going to pick up the first record, and that worked fine. So I press run once again here. It's picked up the second row, and it's come up with this error of another bad request. So we have this message to say that the structure of the JSON is now incorrect. That's because we have these special characters within the text, and it's really, really common to have this. And this is also an issue, particularly if you're using something like Claude or OpenAI to generate text for you to pass into something like Apify or a HTTP request. It's not always possible to just cleanse or manually update the request content from this window here. These quotation marks here have caused issues with this request. It worked fine the first time around and broke the second time around. That's because it's passing this and it's effectively thinking that we're closing off this quotation mark when this is added in here. Generally in software development, this is referred to as escaping. You need to escape your characters. One way to do this will be to use the create JSON built-in module. There are limitations to that, particularly if you are using dynamic JSON. Something we use a lot in this channel is this bunch of replace statements. You do not need to type this out. Just copy and paste it from the video description and paste it directly into your scenario. Wherever you are injecting data like this into a JSON request content, just copy and paste that in, and then replace this your data section with whatever piece of data that you're passing, such as, I'm going to select the blog post title here. That's going to strip out and escape any of these characters that would otherwise break our automation. So press OK, press save, then I'll try to run that again. And that worked correctly. And that's because if we copy and paste this out into this validator, we see it's escaped this text, which is exactly what we need. If we delete that, which is what we had previously, and try to click validate JSON, it comes up with this error. Whereas we've escaped those quotation marks, and that's exactly what this code is doing. It's escaping and it's cleaning up that text. If you have a more complex use case where you need to parse multiple JSON lines within make.com, then check out the link in the description where Daniel goes through exactly how to do that. If you want to get way ahead in your AI automation journey, then check out the link in the description to our community, where you'll get access to all of our automation templates. You'll get instant access to all of these courses with more on the way. You can get support from us via our live live workshops and through our active discussion boards.